Murder in the morning from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Shanna Gardner Fernandez, a name that if you've been listening, you're probably familiar with. She is the Florida woman that's charged in the murder of her ex-husband, ex-Microsoft executive that had been murdered, Jared Bridegan, in the middle of the road. The story, very briefly, if you're not up to date on it, he was taking the kids home, he stopped because there was a tire in the road, pulled over, thought he could help the guy, executed right there with his 2-year-old in the back seat. Eventually, the hitman is arrested. He sings and says, hey, you know who did this? Who put me up to this? Yeah, it's Mario Fernandez over here. Yeah, his wife, that's the ex-wife of the man I just executed. She's free for a while, gets arrested just last month, I believe. Finally, on first-degree murder charges, she does face the death penalty. But now, where there's stories out about her on camera, tearfully recalling the heartbreaking news and giving it to her children after their dad was murdered, brutally murdered on the side of the road because
and this to me, Tony, this screams like the Corey Richins story of her, tearfully talking about how she had to write this book for her kids about the death of their father and the grieving process and how she just wanted to help the kids. And yet she's the one who allegedly killed the dad. Yeah. This story just raised all kinds of flags with me. Like, wait a minute, haven't I heard this story before? Well, I had. And it was with the Corey Richins story. This feels very similar to that. It's like they're almost kind of like side by side going, oh, let's talk about the time we told our kids about how their dad was murdered by us. It was captured on camera months before her arrest, us allegedly, sharing the tearful account of how she and Jared's second wife, Kirsten, broke the devastating news to their children. Gardner, who had hired prominent defense attorney Jose Baez, had previously spoken to Action Jax, expressing shock at her ex-husband's death and proclaiming her innocence. In a heart-wrenching interview, Gardner recounted the emotional moment when they informed the children about Jared Bridegan's tragic demise. She said it was a very quick visit, Gardner revealed, and we just wanted it very clear that this is to honor his memory. We didn't want too many details. I think we can agree that we love the kids and they needed to be the priority. A year later, Gardner faces now severe legal consequences as she stands accused of engineering her ex-husband's murder, which took place in February of 2022. On that very fateful day, Jared Bridegan had just dropped off her twins at Gardner's Jacksonville Beach residence when he encountered a tire blocking his path. And of course, tragically, as we said, he was shot multiple times while investigating the obstruction with his 2-year-old daughter, Kirsten, in the back seat. Gardner's involvement in a bruising custody battle with Jared at the time raised a lot of suspicions. To counter these whispers, she gave an interview to Action Jax TV. And what the fuck is Action Jax TV? It sounds Jacksonville, I assume.
Is that what it's like? Action Jax. It sounds like Apple Jacks or something.
It does. That's exactly what I thought of.
It's like there's a TV station in Wichita where I lived for a while called Cake. And it's like, how do you take that seriously? Cake? Fucking news?
Cake is on the scene today.
Cake
good.
News.
There's cake for everybody.
And it
Keep your
sounds,
fork.
and like locally, if it was like, oh yeah, cake. If you're not from there, it's like, what?
No, wait, what? Well, they were talking about murder and cake? Yeah. What? I don't get it.
Is there like a Pie News channel or something? And then like maybe a quiche news on your side, where she vehemently declared her innocence. Recent excerpts from the interview have recently been released, revealing Gardner's emotional state as she discussed the murder that she's now accused of initiating, saying, I found out in the middle of the night, Gardner said, reflecting on her ex-husband's death. I was shocked. Her emotions also spilled over when she spoke about the impact of the tragedy on their children, stating, I can't imagine as children what that kind of news would mean to have to process that, much less something that they love, their father, referring to something that they love as their father. Something. Yeah.
Something.
You mean someone? Yes. That kind of shows exactly what she just said. She can't imagine processing that kind of information. I don't think she's capable of it. If you're capable of doing this sort of shit and ordering this sort of shit, I also don't think you're probably very capable of feeling the real reality of it, because no one in their right mind would ever put their children through something like this.
Oh, just horrific. It's one thing if you can't stand your ex and you want them out of your life forever. but your children, that's their parent, and you have just separated them for life.
It's one thing to protect your kid from like an abusive parent or a bad parent or something like a mental illness that's not good, where it can cause more damage, things of that nature. It's a totally different thing when the parent is a good parent and you're knocking him out or knocking him off. You know, it's just why. Gardner additionally reminisced about her initial encounter with Jared Bridegan, whom she would later be charged with killing. She revealed that they were set up on a blind date in Salt Lake City 2 decades ago, leading to a fast-paced relationship and eventual marriage. We got married soon after dating. Within a couple of years, we had twins. Anytime kids come into the mix, it's a lot, Gardner said. Legal ramifications of the case have extended beyond Gardner, as her new husband, Mario Fernandez, and former tenant, Henry Tenen, have all been charged in connection with Jared's murder. The case, of course, has garnered significant attention due to the involvement of prominent Microsoft executive and the emotional toll on the children, and Gardner's hiring now of Jose Baez, known for securing the acquittal of the Casey Anthony verdict. So, yeah, that's what happened. This seems like a very convoluted. It doesn't even seem like she has any sense or talking about this as to why she was delivering this news to the children, how to deliver this kind of news to the children. It seemed more like she was kind of talking about how she wanted to do it for herself than more so anybody else.
Well, it made it look like she cared, you know, and especially to do an interview about it. That just, you know, you see these families that are going through horrible trauma and they're not all over the news. They're not doing interviews. They don't want to talk about it. Please respect our privacy as we, you know, deal with this grief.
I can't imagine.
It seems really different. We have all these on-camera interviews of these alleged killers. It's weird.
Yeah. I think it speaks to the level of narcissism that's out there these days, where people seem to feel, or maybe quite honestly believe, their own bullshit of innocence or guilt and things of that nature. But I do believe that some of these people, memories are a funny thing. Human memory is a funny thing. You can convince yourself of something. You can make yourself believe falsehoods if you repeat it to yourself enough. And I would have to imagine that some of these people have done just that. And that's where they now live, in this sort of fantasy land. I mean, look at Lori Vallow Dable. That's a very extreme example. But I think anytime you have a narcissist, and that seems to be a very deep-rooted issue within them. We're all narcissistic to a certain extent, but narcissistic personality disorder, and stem that with whatever other personality disorders may be at play here, probably borderline. There's no telling what they're capable of believing. There really is not.
Good point.
And that's the real scary thing with individuals like this. You just don't know.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free,
so you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.